And I like cutting people in. I'm just like that. I do. I like call my buddy and I'm like, I'm like, dude, you need to get in on this. And he's like, okay. Like, and it's just cool that I know he can throw $500,000 at it and I can get him back, 1.2 in 7 months. And here's what he's going to pay on it. Here's what he'll net on it. And he has like really minimal risk and he didn't really do anything. So I don't know, man. It's pretty cool.
That's exactly it. There's 2 lessons I want people to take away from that. One, the who has the money ends up getting a better deal. The who has the money gets better returns. You get better structure. And when you're investing the way the wealthy invest, you're making 60 or 80% of the profit on that deal. The person who's doing all the work's making 20, right? They're going to do all the work,
making nothing for years.
Right. And so you want to shift yourself to that investor mindset to really be in that position to think, hey, how do I make sure I don't lose any money? And how do I make sure that I have the highest likelihood of getting some great gains? And then how can I do this collaboratively? Welcome back to the Name Your Number show presented by the Investor Mindset. We're on a mission to create financial freedom for over 1 million investors. And when you name your number, the number that you want to earn passively every single month, that creates your ultimate quality of life, then I believe you've achieved true freedom. So if you're ready to name your number and create your passive investment plan that you'll follow step by step to get there, then head over to investormindset.com/number to download the free guide to get started. And for those of you who are ready to build this plan together with me and a community of others, investors just like you, then you'll have an opportunity to schedule a call with one of my top advisors to see if it's a fit. So now let's get into the show. Today, I've got Shawn Meaike in the studio. How you doing today, Shawn?
Doing great, man. How are you, Stephen?
I'm doing phenomenal. I'm living a better life than I deserve sometimes.
Amen.
So for you guys who don't know Shawn is a beast in the business world. He is a CEO and founder of Family First, an insurance company that's taken the industry by storm, growing it to over $1 billion in a little less than 8 years. And he's truly on a mission to redesign the way the world operates away from scarcity to a mindset of abundance and grace, something we absolutely share in common. So let's get started. On this show, we like to get personal about money, life, and strategies that you've used to create financial freedom and security. So let's kick things off on a personal note by taking a look back at earlier in your life. What events or influences from your childhood, Mike, shaped you who you are today? And how has that played a role on your money and investing journey?
Yeah, I first of all, appreciate you letting me get on the show, man. I hear a lot about you and everybody speaks highly of you and everything I've seen is amazing. So thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. When my mom raised me and my brother, my brother's 2 years younger than me. My mother worked really hard back in the day. People had kids when they were really, really young. My mom was the same. And, my parents split when I was young, and I remember vividly. And I don't remember a lot. I'm not one of those people like, I remember when I was 4. I'm like, dude, no, you don't. Like, that's just weird, But I was probably early teens, maybe 12. And my mother had gotten a real estate license. And we didn't do well financially. My mom, she'd move from apartment to apartment, subsidized apartments, do whatever she had to do. And I remember how excited she was. And I was the oldest. So if you're raised by a single mom and you're the oldest boy, like, you take care of your mom, that's your job. Guys come and date your mom, you threaten to beat the shit out of them. That's your job. That was my job. I was like, I'll beat you up. I'm 14 years old.
We share
that. She got a real estate license. And I just watched how different she was, right? She was like dressed a little bit different. She was excited. She was going out doing like listing appointments. I didn't even know really what she was doing. I just knew it was real estate involved. And she'd like leave and do open houses and all that stuff. And I just remember, like, it was this excitement I hadn't seen from my mom before. And she had broke friends because we lived in a broke area. And I can remember a few of them that, off the top of my head, who would like, and I can remember being around because I was like really pumped up for it. And they'd be like, you know what? Like, if it was that easy, everybody would do it. It's probably not. And they would just go on and on and on. And after about 4 months, she quit. She just upped and quit. My mom's smart, good looking lady. I mean, she's great with people, but she just gave up. And I remember saying to myself, I don't like whatever my mom does, working 3 jobs, that doesn't work. Like, she's taking care of us. I'm really respectful of her, but it doesn't work. And I don't want to live that way. Like, I don't want to live check to check to check to check. I just don't, it made me who I am. So that's kind of the struggle when you have kids yourself, is how do you give your kids some struggle when there's not really a struggle? Like, how do you give them that? So for me, I just knew I wanted to be independent. Throughout high school, I really only went to high school because I liked playing football and baseball. Schools was easy to me. I never enjoyed it. I've been sober 22 years. I like to drink a lot. I loved cocaine. I loved mushrooms. I loved smoking crack, and I love smoking weed. So I had problems. So I think going through high school, I was really just kind of like, I want to be a Marine. That's what I want to do. I graduated high school at 17, went to the Connecticut Armory, took my ASVABs, the whole deal. Told my mom, hey, I'm out of here. I graduated high school. I just want to go. And she's like, no, I don't want you to join the military. I want you to go to college. And I was like, I really don't want to go. And there was an opportunity to go play baseball in college as well. So I was like, I'll go to college to do that. And when I was in college, I was excited. I was like, I'm going to be a business major. So I was a business major. And, that lasted like 30 days. And it lasted 30 days because even at that age, like, dude, I sat in front of the room because, like, even though I wasn't paying to go to school, like, I did want to learn stuff. And what I learned watching was I'm a realist. If you've done something, I'll listen to you talk about it. If you've not done it, you need to never, ever talk about it. You need to shut your mouth, know your place, and have some respect for yourself. So the teachers I would talk and be like, hey, if you don't mind me asking, how did you learn? I'd ask them about business management, organizational development. They could never answer the question. So I switched and became a social work major. And, played ball for a while, graduated college, thought I would get paid to play ball, realized that wasn't going to happen, kept partying like crazy. And I took a job as a social worker at the Department of Children and Families. I worked with abused and neglected children for 14 years. And probably about the fourth year in, I was like, dude, I don't have any money. And I got my real estate license. And then once I did that, everything changed. I went part-time. I sold real estate. I decided I wanted to make money every level, right? So I was like, at first, I got my real estate license. While I was in class, I bought a lot and I built a house on it, spec'd it out. I was like, but if I'm going to build it, why the hell would I pay somebody else to list it? I'm going to list it myself. So, and then I was like, if I'm going to do the mortgage, why would I pay someone else when I get a mortgage license? Like, why can't I do that as well? I don't know if you can do all that nowadays or not, but like we did everything, right? Property management, lawn, everything that attached to that property, I did. Waste management. I was buying dumpsters. I'm like, I'm going to buy a waste management company. I'm going to create one. Why am I going to pay somebody else to do the dumpsters? And some of those businesses went really, really well. Some of them went really, really bad, but they taught me a lot of life lessons. So I think, Stephen, that's how I got to knowing I wanted to be entrepreneurial in spirit back in the day. And I've gone into many things since then. But I think that experience, watching my mom and watch people around me, and I was like a real life rich dad, poor dad. Because the people in my area, their dads that did well, I gravitated towards them. And I think they were really nice to me because I just was pretty good at sports and they wanted their sons to win. So I don't know if I like this kid or not, but I want him on our team. So I would just interrogate him with questions like, what do you do for a living? And what I found is the people most successful in the area that I was in, they were all in sales. They were all independent. One of them was a business owner, but the rest of them were like just independent salespeople. So I was like, the other ones that have jobs weren't doing as well. So I think that's what molded me to have the attitude and the mindset that I do today.
Well, it's like when you grow up around lack, when you grow up broke. I share a similar story, single mom, oldest of four. And when you grow up around that and you see that lack, you're looking around like, hey, how can I get out of this? How can I find my way out? And you create this drive, this motivation inside that I think it's very difficult to just create that unless you have some kind of pain, or you can put yourself in that mindset to understand that the vision you want, if you don't go and do these things, you're going to feel that pain. And so I can absolutely see a lot of successful people have been through that. And I can understand exactly why that drives you. I mean, you've gone and built this incredible business, but you tried a bunch of stuff along the way. And then you had, what ended up becoming your main thing, this insurance company where we've been able to help so many people. And it's all built around sales. Because if you're not going to be a business owner, sales is like being a business owner, but you're in partnership with other people. And your job is to go out there and sell and get paid. And someone else's job is to do the administration. So that's really powerful. And this show is really about being that example, showing people what's possible when it comes to building, financial wealth, earning income, creating financial freedom. And so with that in mind, and financial freedom is really having enough income that's coming in every month passively, or a big enough asset load that's going to pay you to create that ultimate vision. Have you yourself achieved financial freedom, or is that a personal goal of yours?
Yeah. I mean, to be straight up, I achieved it a long time ago. And what I mean by that is it's funny you talk about the number, I wanted to be at $20,000 a week, passive cash flow. I want to make $1 million outside of anything I ever did. That was my deal. Like no matter what I do, $1 million is coming in. And my first venture was real estate. I accumulated, I don't know, hundreds, I give the total number of buildings and how many units that were rental properties. Yeah. And, I learned a lot in that, 5, 6, 7 years. I did a lot of it myself. My property management company was me. When I put them all together to sell them, I had a group come down from New York. I was in Connecticut at the time. And they said, well, where are the management fees? I'm like, you're looking at it. Like I am the manager, and they're like, well, why do they pay rent? I'm like, well, because I'll throw them out. Like we just we got good at doing what we did. And, so for me, I achieved it early on. But for me, I wanted other people to achieve it. Like when I found insurance, I was like, because I couldn't create that for anybody in real estate. I had a good friend of mine that I was trying to do the properties with, but like he had a job. I loved him. I wanted him to do well. And I just couldn't but I'm like, you have to go out and do your own deal. It's like for some of y'all that are on, you're like, well, I'm in real estate. I'm like, no, you're paying this idiot on Instagram and YouTube money. I could give you a better rate of return tomorrow in anything. You're not in real estate. Your money goes in his pocket. You have to find a way to build it for you. I'm okay. Now, if you can get me a good rate of return on my money, I'm in. But it's like I like people trying to teach people to build their own passive cash flow.
Well, I think what's so powerful about that is to separate the two, right? You built a business in real estate. You're a business operator in real estate. Your business was managing those assets that created that return. You were the management company. You were the person doing all the work. You were the asset manager. You made all of those individual decisions. Even if you were to hire a property manager, it still came down to you to decide, hey, is this property manager doing what they're supposed to do? Yes, no. Should I fire them? Should I replace them? In that point in time, you were everything, right? So you were out there grinding, working, doing the thing. When you tried to bring a friend in, they wanted the result that came from owning real estate, but they didn't want to put in the work and the effort. And at the time, you didn't have a model that made sense, right? Where you could take their money and they could get the result or the benefit from that. So that makes so much sense. And from that way of thinking, it's impossible for people, if they come into real estate and they are going to go own and manage those properties directly, for them not to be active, right? You've got to do the work, unless you're investing in a fund or a syndication and somebody else is the expert, and they're really the expert. They're not just somebody who's just trying to figure it out and they're using your money to do it, right? You're actually getting that return for writing the check. That's what the richest people do, is they have other people who are hired and they get paid based on success. So from that perspective, I can totally see. So you hit that $20,000 a week number, right? So your number was $1 million a year, $20,000 a week.
From when I was like 15 years old. I'm like, dude, I did the math backwards. I'm like, I want to make $1 million a year. I understand what people say when they're worth, but I want to make $1 million. Like I want to make it in a year passively. And then when I had kids, I was like, because that changed my thought process too. Once I had kids, I'm like, dude, now it's not about, I want to, I need to, I need that. So I think I was in real estate till 2008. When the market changed, everybody's like, well, you got out because the market crashed. I said, no, be clear. I got out because I wasn't prepared for the market crash. There were people that did very well. I was very much part-time in this thing, still working my job. My little deal worked for me. And then what I did at that time is I was like, okay, you know what? Now I'm going to buy a ton of distressed properties and kind of rebuild my deal up, which I did. But I found life insurance in 2008. And the reason I fell in love with life insurance was I could immediately get people to build their own residual income for me, because, and also you have to love it. Do you love real estate, Stephen? Do you love it?
I love the vehicle of real estate.
There you go.
I love what it does.
And I love the vehicle of life insurance.
Yeah.
I just do. I fell in love with that vehicle. Number one, I liked being able to do something for people in middle American markets that made a difference. People are always like, why didn't you want to work in this segment? I'm like, everybody calls you when you have money. Nobody called me when I didn't have money and asked me to help me. But once I made money, everybody from every big brokerage and every big insurance company called me and wanted to be my new friend and help me. I wanted to go where there's more leads and less agents. So that life insurance was that for me. And I started being able to recreate, just like real estate is for what you do and what you're able to do for other people. And that to me, I had a guy say to me the other day, funny, real estate I was 22, 23 years old. This guy, Frank, who's long since dead. He was 80 then. So he's definitely gone. And he said to me, if you're going to be a businessman, I want you to always remember this. I said, okay, so I want you to fast forward. I'm 22 to your 82nd birthday or your funeral, whichever comes first. Okay. That I want you to picture 2 people speaking at your funeral and 3 things they're saying to describe you.
Yeah. Good.
Wow. And he's like, what would those things be? I'm like, that I was selfless, that I was humble, that I was fearless. And he's like, then live it the rest of your life. And I think for me, I always wanted to help people win. So that's what the insurance deals become for me. I mean, I've been in the waste management, talking about taking a chance. I think the thing that's been good for me was like, I decided to launch a waste management company, right? Sounds good, right? Sounds good. Let's get a bunch of dumpsters. Let's buy 5 trucks. Let's get 150 dumpsters. And we're 2 months into it. And I'm like, dude, I'm looking at the bills. We ain't making no money. Like, what's going on? Why is why am I paying this much to get rid of to dump? Why is it so much a ton? And then I realized 3 people own every landfill in the state.
Yep.
And I'm like, wait a minute. They don't want me in this business. So I'm like going down trying to negotiate with them backwards. And this guy looked at me and he said, son, did you ever think about doing this before you decided to get in the business? I said, that'd have been a good idea, huh? And it took me months to renegotiate my contracts with them.
Yeah.
I had no cards, but it was a phenomenal business lesson for me. I was excited. I took chances. I still found a way to break even. And then eventually we built it up and sold it, and like life is good. But I also knew I learned then you need to know who the bigger bear is. And I wasn't the bigger bear in that business. Like I knew I was small.
That's really powerful. And I want to draw a parallel here for folks who might want to go down a similar path to you, Shawn, where what they're really looking for, right? When they create that ultimate vision and they create that concept of, hey, I want to have money, something that pays me forever. What's powerful about life insurance, which is similar to investing in assets, is that what you're doing is you're going out there, and the asset is the policy that you sell. You get paid some money up front, but you get this residual income that's paid out for the life of that policy. And so you're getting paid that passive income forever, because what you've actually done is you've created a business, and that business, the job of that business is to sell the policy, and the policy protects the client. They want that. And as a result of that policy living on forever, you get that residual as long as it's there. So it's a phenomenal way to take a sales skill and ability and go apply that to go work and build a book of business. And then for you exited, right? You had an exit. And so when you actually exit, you essentially sell that stream, you sell that business down the line, you get paid a bunch of money up front, which now you can then take control and go reapply those dollars to create maybe even a better return, if that's what you want to do, or you never need to go down that reinvestment path with those dollars that you're earning, because you could simply choose to live off of that. So what I'm really curious about is many, many years ago, you set a vision. I want to talk about the vision you have now versus the vision there. When you were looking at that vision, $1 million a year, 20,000 a week, what was that all for? What was that going to do for you? What was that going to do for your future family? Why were you on this crusade to go out and create 20,000 a week? What was that for?
I really wanted to change the way I thought people looked at my family. I mean, I really just wanted, in my mind, I wanted to change the way that people looked at us. I didn't think money made me anything, but I just thought I wanted people that came after me and my family to know that we can go out and have great success. That was the most important thing. The money, I mean, the stuff, I really didn't have any. When people are like, I wanted this and I want that, I was kind of like, I was like the guy in the Italian, you're young, the Italian Job, where they're like, what are you gonna do with the money? He has no idea.
Movie.
Yeah, great movie. I'm like, that was, I don't know. I didn't even like, that was never for me. That never did it for me. Yes, I wanted to buy my mom a house and like a place to live. And that's been cool. Like I wanted those, but the 20 grand a week, the $1 million was, you know what? everybody, and you said it earlier in that scarcity deal, everybody that bet against me, and school was different back then it is today. The teachers would have been fired every day for the things they said. Every day. And in today's world, if a male teacher had spoken to me like that, I just would have hit him. Yeah. Back then, like you just listen. They would just say things like, don't dream. And you're not from there. And you guys can't accomplish that. You just need to go get a job. There's no reason. I mean, they told me there's no reason if you go to college. I'm like, dude, I'm smarter than almost everybody in here. Yeah, but you can't afford college. It's just not for you. So for me, I just wanted to change the way everybody looked at, in my mind, my family, for whatever that was worth, and then it really just became an addiction. I'm addicted to, it's funny talking about real estate. I just did a deal 4 days ago and I'm like, isn't it fun? I was talking to the guy that runs my numbers. I'm like, isn't it funny? He works out of my CPA's office. I talked to my attorney. I'm like, back in the day, I was working literally 400 hours to put one deal together that made me 1/10 of this. And now I'm like, wire the money. My return is greater than my return would have been in 3 years. My money's out. Here's how it's secured. We've done X amount of deals. I'll never see the property. I'll never go to New York City and see the property, and I'll just be paid within 9 months. And that's what I wanted to get to too. I wanted to be the investor. I wanted to be the guy that made a much higher return on my money. And I wanted to get in with the right people, because the problem for a lot of us is when you don't have any, you come from that, every idiot has a new idea and every idiot wants to be in business and every idiot wants your money. And it's like, you're trying to get around the right people, because the right people don't lose as much. They just don't. They don't have to. They get to pick and choose. So I think for me, it's the juice of it. I enjoy it a lot. And I enjoy seeing, I like cutting people in. I'm just like that. I do. I like call my buddy and I'm like, I'm like, dude, you need to get in on this. And he's like, okay. Like, and it's just cool that I know he can throw $500,000 at it and I can get him back, 1.2 in 7 months. And here's what he's going to pay on it. Here's what he'll net on it. And he has like really minimal risk and he didn't really do anything. So I don't know, man, it's pretty cool.
That's exactly it. There's two lessons I want people to take away from that. One, the who has the money ends up getting a better deal. The who has the money gets better returns. You get better structure. And when you're investing the way the wealthy invest, you're making 60 or 80% of the profit on that deal. The person who's doing all the work's making 20, right? They're going to do all the work,
making nothing for years.
Right. And so you want to shift yourself to that investor mindset to really be in that position to think, hey, how do I make sure I don't lose any money? And how do I make sure that I have the highest likelihood of getting some great gains? And then how can I do this collaboratively? How can I make sure that my incentives are aligned with everybody, so everybody wins when everybody wins? Such a really, really powerful point. On that vision, it's so inspiring, I believe, to be able to see that your vision was really about, hey, I want to get out of where I'm at. I want to start living a life where other people recognize my worth and value, because it wasn't being recognized growing up, and where I can make an impact for other people. And you've done exactly that. And so anyone who's listening, who's at that point, maybe you feel exactly the way that Shawn felt back then, or maybe you're somewhere in between. Maybe the pain isn't as strong as Shawn's feeling, but you can create that pain by getting really clear on that vision and recognizing what you're going to lose by not going after it. Whether that's hustling harder in your work so that you can create an exit and have a big check come at once, or whether you're going to hustle and start funneling that money to be invested with the right experts, or do the deals yourself if that's really the path you want to go, so that you can actually start creating this life. Because it's possible, because you've done it. I've done it. A lot of my friends are all on this same path where we're doing it. And it's a huge takeaway, because I don't know, when I was growing up, maybe you felt like this. I was growing up hearing the exact same thing. You can't do this. You're not smart enough, like you're not going to break out of that world. And for the longest time, it was a chip on my shoulder that was driving me. Right. It was that chip on my shoulder, be like, I'll prove you wrong. Tell me I can't do it, because I'm going to make sure that that I did it once I had done it. There was a shift in my mindset, and I believe you've had the same, just based on the mission that you're on, is that what got me here isn't going to get me to that next level. Because now that I made it, I actually have to create a new motivation. And that motivation is really focused on others, making an impact. For me, that mission is a million people being financially free through investing, right? And to me, to hit that, I just need 10,000 clients who can tell 100 of their friends, right? or 100,000 clients who can tell 10 of their friends and share that view and vision, and 1 million people are impacted. I can definitely do that in my life. I'm curious for you, your vision today, it's shifted, it's grown, right? You've made millions of dollars. You've had a phenomenal exit. You've got this passive revenue that's coming in every month. What's the vision today? What are you working towards today, and what impact are you looking to make?
I think one of the biggest things that's hitting me probably in the last 6 months, to be honest with you, Stephen, is I see a lot of, it breaks my heart. And I mean that when I see people get taken advantage of. People go, well, that's their fault. I'm like, not really. When some guy gets on Instagram, jumps around, lies to you, and he's full of shit completely, and you think he's telling the truth, and you give him your money, and he takes it and gives you nothing. I don't know that that's necessarily your fault. When some guy manipulates some fake coin that nobody can talk about, and then you buy it, and they get out when you're supposed to, and they get smoked, and that they made money and they kill you, and the guy welding for $62,000, $482 a year, put his $37,000 life in bed. Like I just want to kind of do the best I can to get as much information in people's in front of them as I can, like truthfully. And that's kind of like, I started messing around with this stuff online only because I was curious. And I started doing it where I was like, dude, I just don't like this guy. You know what I mean? Like this dude, I don't like him. I don't like this dude over here. And then I'm like, they're commenting on my stuff. That's weird because nobody even knows who I am. What must mean they know it. They know they're full of it. So I'm going to keep pushing and poking and prodding. And I think it goes back to my mom and everybody else. There's really good people out there thinking that, instead of investing, instead of trying to build passive cash flow, instead of having real goals, they're getting taught to go chase around these coaches, mentors, and all these gurus. And that money that they're giving them, they could have invested in. And when they add it all up, it's like, dude, what could you have done with somebody that actually knows what they're doing? So for me, I just kind of, I want to pull I set out to disrupt the life insurance industry. I did. I was like, you know what? We're going to pay really well. We're going to be crazy aggressive. We're going to help people out. We're going to build wealth for all the people. So I told people when we started the company, you could work at the company and make more than I do, and I own it. And that screwed people up. And I was like, you can. If you structure right, you could out earn me. And I wanted that. I'm going to go to work anyway, but I wanted a place where we could raise up together. And it worked. And I'm kind of like, well, why can't we do the same thing over here where we can raise up together? Instead of making it out to be some kind of magical deal, it's find the people with the information, the knowledge, find a mentor, ingratiate yourself to him or her, and then get the knowledge and then change your trajectory as well. So and partly, Stephen, I'm not going to lie to you, I just kind of love pissing people off. I don't sound weird, but I do. I enjoy it. Maybe it's my dysfunctional or not. If you're out there messing with people, I want to call you on it. And I don't pretend that everybody in the world cares what I say, but if enough people call you on your BS, and because so many people can get ahead, dude, they're just mired in their own what they're doing. And again, there's some amazing vehicles out there. And you're right. Those with the gold make the rules. And what gets you out of where you're at doesn't get you to the promised land. You got to continue to evolve all the time. And I just want to get around those people. And I've found really good people that are way ahead of me, but I listen well. I ask good questions. I don't waste their time. I bring value. Because I can talk about kind of how certain people see things that might help them understand how, because they're removed from it. And I just try to bring the best value I can. And then when something happens, like when I was doing the insurance deal, I called a guy that's done this 24 times. And he's a friend of mine. I mean, he's 10, 12 years older than me. He's, he's good. God knows billions of dollars. But I'm able to say, like, what am I thinking? Should I be taking chips off the table? What should I be doing? How would you structure it? What does that look like? What's your EBITDA? And also the last thing I'll say is when you don't know something, you say you don't know it. I think that's people love real. I remember I was sitting down, I was exploring taking on capital the very first time. And the guy said, what's your EBITDA? And I said, what does that mean? And his group full is, and the guy looked at me and it's like, he laughed. I go, no, I actually don't know what it means. What does it mean? So he's like, earning tax, depreciation, amortization. I'm like, but in my business, I don't have the depreciation, amortization. Why don't you just say it's my net income? Like, wouldn't that be, or would that not sound smart enough? We laughed about it. And afterwards, the guy was like, dude, that was my favorite part of the meeting. Yeah. Like, I just wish more people were real and could have discussion. So I don't worry about what anybody thinks. And that's what holds most people back. You go out and do the best.
Well, it used to bother you, but you've grown to this place. You've got a new way of thinking. Well, I love your vision. We got to make an impact together in this world, my friend. there's so many people who have broken beliefs. They don't believe they can get out of it. They just like your mom, just like family members I have that, they gave up on their dreams a long time ago because everyone around them thought differently. And it's so important, I believe, to get in community. And, listen to this show is one way to get in community, get these ideas in your ear and let them start festering, and then start surrounding yourself with better people. So I'm on board for that. We'll definitely figure out some ways to make that impact together. When it comes to the strategies, right? You've gone and you did real estate early on. You had it, 2008 happened. You started building this business. You just recently had an exit. You're still probably getting that income that's coming in off of that, but you sold it. What is the strategy that you're using to create that new vision that's going to get you to that next level that you want to be at? Is it you're going to build another operating business? Is it you're taking that money and you're investing it passively with the right people? Are you looking to build affiliate? Like, what is it that you're using to get to that new vision that you got?
That's funny. It's definitely investing with the right people passively. That's worked out really well for me the last 3 years. Yeah. I've looked at some additional businesses and operate, and I do enjoy what I do. And it's kind of also led me back to some real estate, which has been cool, and some things that ideas I had, and some people I wasn't networking with back in the day. And now I am, which has been really good. And and it's also allowed me to kind of take a step back and make good decisions when I want to make them. My whole business entrepreneurial career was like my hair was on fire, right? Because that's where I was. Like, I was just like, and now it's kind of, I do like seeing these opportunities. I do like seeing these bees, and I don't waste my time. I find people with really, really, really good track records and kind of align myself with them. And I don't need to go do anything, which is nice. But am I going to go do something else? It's operate probably. And there's some other industries I've looked at, and it's exciting to me. It's intriguing, and I like to attack it and see what I could build there, outside of insurance. And
so part of your kind of personal drive is like, you're an operator, you're a builder. Like, you get that fulfillment from the mission of building. You're not, some people are looking to go retire on a beach with their family. Phenomenal vision for those people. You're one of those people who's mission driven. I got to keep building because I love playing the game.
I love the game. I love the juice of the game. I just do.
That's awesome. What, talk to us about what that current work life looks like today. You had an exit. You're still involved with it. Yeah. What does that look like? What did it feel like to have the exit versus what are some of the downsides that you're experiencing now that you've gone through that process, so that other people can understand, hey, well, this is what can happen when I get to the end of the road and everything's built off of, selling the business to someone else.
It's funny. I've done it a few different ways, right? Did it in waste management, where it's a straight, here's a sale. We know better than you do, Shawn. We're one of the biggest companies in the country. We're good. Here's your money. Yeah. Have a nice life. Okay. I've done it in real estate where it was like, here's your money, but if we can get the portfolio to perform where you were, will you stay on for a period of time and make some extra money? Right. The problem with that was the way I did it worked, and they had their own ideas. They didn't know what they were doing. So it was like I was beating my head against the wall. That wasn't a lot of fun, right? I already gotten paid, but I stuck around to try to make more money, earn out, whatever you want to do. And finally, I'm like, guys, I can't do this because you're telling me what to do and you don't know what to do. Like, I sold you something that was very profitable, and now you've come in and want to make the cuts over here and do this over here. It just, you don't know what you're doing. So I'm going to have to just tap out. I've been very blessed in insurance because I looked at a lot of different private equity companies for probably a year and a half. And the two issues I had with any of the potential offers I had was, it wasn't just necessarily the money's important. Don't get me wrong, but it was, if I'm going to stay on for a period of time post transaction and post sale, I have to be in charge. I'm an exceptionally bad assistant coach when I know what I'm doing. If your son's playing soccer and my son plays soccer, I don't know anything about soccer. Yeah. I'm totally cool if you're like, hey man, I played some soccer in high school and college. You want to be an assistant coach? First thing I'd say is, I don't know anything, but I'm good. Like, you want me to just get people hyped up and bring some stuff and carry some stuff? Like, I'm your guy. Yeah. But if I know what I'm doing, I'm a terrible assistant coach. And in life insurance, I feel like I really know what I'm doing. So I've been blessed in that regard, where it's like, you know what? I get to be in the entity is kind of like, hey dude, you do you, you've been killing it. We're happy. We ain't going to bother you. And when you start early on, there's a few people, hey, what about this? And what about this? You're like, hey, wait a minute. Y'all just like told me as long as I continue to grow it and kill it and scale it, make it profitable, I'm going to be good. And I've helped a lot of other people do the same thing. And I think the struggle at times is if in waste management, I exited. I got my money and it was an exit. A lot of people, when they go do a deal, they retain some equity. There's earnouts, there's contracts. You didn't really exit. And they think they did. It's like exit is like, we're paying you to go away. Like we're good. We're happy. We want you to not be involved anymore. So it's me educating people that, hey, bro, you didn't exit. You have this many years left. We know you got paid. You had the potential to make a lot more money. You have whatever it is, stock, however your deal's structured. And some people just, their back's not against the wall anymore. Yeah. Because they got a check. Yeah. And to me, it was never about, okay, if I have enough to live, I'll stop. Yeah. And a lot of people, it is, man. They lose that edge. I mean, I haven't needed money for a long time. It's not like I was buying helicopters and penthouses in 4 different cities in the country. I just didn't need the money. I live good. And as my buddy always said, you said at the beginning of the show, he's like, most of us, we live better than we probably need to. Like, and that's okay. You know what I mean? Like, but I think for me, it's when you start, you have to understand to ask all the right questions when you're looking to do that. And a lot of people, I know people that probably should exit because they're burnt out, and some that aren't even ready to exit that are looking to, I just talked to a guy a couple weeks ago and he's like, I said, I want you to close your eyes and you're not in charge anymore. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. I'm just saying like you're a control freak and you love what you have here. Yeah. You're going to walk away completely. But then there's people that you meet that don't pull the trigger and they don't know who the bigger bear is. That was the other thing too. We were so big in people's eyes, but not as big as you thought, right? It was great. We do billions of dollars in premium over 9 years. I mean, we're now, we'll do $1 billion this year in our 10th year. Like it's big, but there's also a lot of big people out there and things can happen. And if you don't take your chips off the table, you can lose them all. Yeah. So when is that magic? I've met people that didn't take them off the table and somebody recreated what they were doing, bigger, better, faster with more money, and they were out of business. Or something happened you didn't see coming. I didn't know that was going to happen. Oh my God, I didn't know that was going to happen to us. And I never thought about that. And I never knew that was a potential liability. It's like, dude, I was talking to a guy the other day, their company's done. Like there was a recent policy change. You can't do what they're doing anymore. And it's just gone. But
understanding structure is such an important thing when it comes to investments. And the people who bought your business, they're essentially investing. They bought an income stream. They bought your business. And if you don't understand structure, you can be on the wrong side of that. And that's why it's so important to make sure you're doing things. You've got the right advisors, you got the right team. That's one thing we talk a lot about, name your number. It's almost as much about setting your target and vision, the plan, but also you need to know enough so that you know what to watch out for. So in your example, right, you had this exit, but a lot of the upside was tied to somebody else being in charge of the outcome. And that works really great for some people, and it doesn't work well for others. So you got to know what structure works well for you. So why don't we pause here on this? We're getting close to the end of the show. We've got one more question I want to wrap up on, but why don't you tell the audience, share a little bit about kind of who you're serving, what you're doing, and how people can get involved or get in touch if they want to reach you.
Yeah, I mean, in the insurance business, we're very much focused on helping people in the middle American market. There are millions of people with life insurance license. I think the way we structure is very aggressive from a compensatory standpoint for the agent. You're truly independent. We love that. Name of that company is Family First Life. You can find me anywhere on Instagram. Last name is Meaike, even though it's pronounced Mike. It's Shawn, Meaike. My handles are all that. It's just my name. And, we recruit people all over the country because the reality is there's more leads you don't do with. And I'm a big lead guy. I've not been if you're a cold caller or cold knocker, I'm not mad at you. I've done it. And I'd much prefer lead. Leads are real sales. I can go out there too and tell hero stories, knock on doors with you, call people all day long. It's just not a good return on my time, my investment. And then when you start, to that point with your family, one of the things that was important to me was, and maybe everybody's different. I didn't want to miss stuff my kids were doing, school or athletically. That was my deal. Yes. I at the state of Connecticut, I didn't leave that job because I was only making $70,000 a year. Like I was already making money in real estate outside. I left that job because I was being told I couldn't leave that job. Like my daughter would have a recital at school at 10 a.m. and I was told I couldn't go. Yeah. My son would have a game. When I coached my son's middle school basketball team, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, Went to our first game, put the kids on a bus, you drive them. It's like, good Lord, like I'm back in school. You got to get up and tell the kids sit down. They're all boys. So it's like, we're all smacked. They shout, all of you sit down. Don't drive me crazy. We get to the game and we're like 3 minutes in the game. And I look around, I'm like, wow, the only parent here is me, but it's 3:30 in the afternoon. Like who can leave work, drive an hour to their kid's game? When there was a mom or dad here and there, but for the most part, like, I watched every game my son played in middle school from the sidelines. Yeah. And then when he was in high school, I sat in the stands and went to every single game. Yeah. When he was playing 3 games a day, baseball, my daughter, dance, I didn't miss those things. And my mom had to miss those things just because she worked 3 jobs. So I think for me, it's that's kind of really where I'm at, where I'm going, what I see, what motivates me, why I'm doing it. But you can find me anywhere, man. And the podcast is Punch Me in the Face. Wrote a little book called Punch Me in the Face. We give half the money to the Dream Center in East LA. It's a great place. Pastor Matthew's a good friend of mine. And, we're just out there trying to make a difference and rattle some cages, dude. Like that's kind of my deal. I want to be in the fight every day. I want to be part of the juice, and that's how they can find us. And if they're looking for a part-time income or full-time income, come join Family First Life, man. We'll teach you how to do something. So
that's how you find Mike, or that's how you scratch that.
You're good, Shawn, Mike. It's either way, dude. You're good.
That's how you find Shawn. Is head over if you're interested in learning. He's got some amazing mindset and beliefs on business. You can shift the way you're thinking. And if you're looking to create that revenue through active sales, this is a great place to head to. So as we wrap up, it's been a phenomenal episode, Shawn, diving insights on how you hit financial freedom, on this vision, on this path that you're on. It's really inspiring. It's incredible. So closing on this, what is your advice to those who are listening, who are on the path towards creating that ultimate vision for their life financially, for them to get there faster, to stay focused on the right things, and to, truly be able to get where they want to go?
Well, you talked about it a little bit earlier, Stephen, with the sacrifices. I mean, the only thing I've done in every industry I've been in, and I've done well in all of them, and other people have probably done better than me, but I've done better than most that I've seen, is, dude, I just use my sweat equity to build it. Like if it's real estate, my sweat equity could be pouring a concrete when I started. It could be the property management. It could be being a listing agent. In insurance, it was selling life insurance. In waste management, it can be driving a truck and picking up dumpster. Like your sweat equity to you that's your time. So it's free to you. I understand. And so I would say make more sacrifices. I was talking to a group yesterday and I said, none of you are going to make it. And they're good people, because it's a small group. And every one of them is like, but I'm not full-time yet. And then one day I'm going to do this. I'm like, dude, when I started in insurance, I had 2 full-time jobs. If you will make more sacrifices than everybody, you don't need to have cute sayings and carve your day into 3 fake days and come up with stupid stuff. Just go make more sacrifices other people. Whatever it is that you need to sacrifice right now. To that point with my kids, early on in my insurance career, there were things I had to sacrifice. Dude, I didn't want to. I did not want to. I mean, I miss, like, my son will to this day be like, the greatest game I ever played was this one. And I was at, like, I couldn't be there. Like to this day, just do it more to bust my behind. I think he knows I was at all the games. We'll joke around. But those things I didn't want to do. I do enjoy sleeping a little bit. I slept on the floor in my office that stayed in Connecticut 3 hours a night with the phone near me in case it went off, because that was my job, was manage the phone. The phone rang, I answered it. But I didn't want to do that. Like I didn't want healthy. But I did it because I was trying to get ahead. So if you'll out sacrifice everybody, and you're not forever, dude, please carve these things into shorter windows. If you'll out sacrifice everybody for the next year, it might be, if you'll do that, dude, the result is obnoxious. And learn every day. Every day I woke up, I was like, I'm going to learn something today about business that's crucial that I don't already know. And it could be 10, 11 o'clock at night. I'm like, damn, what I learned today? And usually I had something, but sometimes I'm like, it's not that good. What can I do? Who can I reach out to? What can I read? What can I watch? I wanted to educate myself every single day and get a little bit better. So that'd be my best advice for people that are looking to grind this thing out and change their lifestyle.
Well, it's so great, because what's really powerful is when you have that vision, you know what you're working towards. When you're making that sacrifice, it doesn't have to feel like a sacrifice. It feels like an investment. You're trading your time for a higher return. You're trading your time to go earn more so that you can start investing that to do the thing that you actually want to do on the back end. And when you're doing it with purpose, it's easy to be driven down that path. And if you don't have that now, that's what's missing. You're missing that purpose. You're missing that vision. You're missing that picture of what's possible. And so you absolutely need to name your number. You absolutely need to sit down and get clear on these things. Super powerful conversation today, Shawn. Really, really enjoyed this. If you guys are listening to this episode for the first time or you've been here for a while, hit that subscribe button, come back next week, and we'll look forward to making an impact together, Shawn. Thanks so much for being on.
Thanks, Steven. Thanks for having me, buddy.
Thank you for listening to the Investor Mindset Podcast. If you like what you heard, make sure to rate, review, subscribe, and share it with a friend. Head over to theinvestormindset.com to join the Insider Club, where we share tools and strategies from the top investors and entrepreneurs on how to take it to the next level.